I have a question about that. Christianity. Do you think do you think star sign is yes? No, it's not. Do you think it aligns with like Bible? Do you think God like? I'm just because I don't understand that deep. It's just because you hear things about how like astrology and how astrology and people start to say, oh, I'm an Aries, and so this is how my character is because of this star sign. I am now this thing. It now sounds almost like you're not really something, but because people say, oh, this star sign does this, you're now saying, I can't
subconsciously,
that's how I am because I'm an Aries.
No, but the star sign, I
very-
think one thing we need to point out is star signs don't highlight the negative part. It's like, oh, you're a Gemini, for example. When you let go, they let go. It's just their personality. And the Bible doesn't really tell you about your personality. But that's what star sign does. You know, the Bible tells you more about what we should be like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I never heard this before, to be honest.
And I think another reason is because God knows us to depend on it.
Yeah, but people now start to say, oh, you know, he's an Aries, so he's going to cheat or he's going to do
And
this.
then
or
over
that.
time, our
I've
environment.
never read start to define themselves based on what seems like.
For me, like I don't live my life based on star signs. But sometimes I just come across it like this kind of but it's not like I put in my head, oh, every time and stuff. For me, I don't care about it.
Or is it true? Is it true?
I think my own husband environment was
Scorpio. It doesn't act like a Scorpio.
yeah, that's what I want to say. That another thing, we have
Quiet,
different factors actually that also impact that kind of thing. So, for instance, when they say that generally, right, for your environment, and then over time you're developing yourself, they have temperament before now. They have something called Holy Spirit. Spirit control. Temperament. Because over time you're developing yourself. So you're dropping some of those things and you're picking up other things. So you then see somebody that's supposed to be kind of like all of those personalities. And the person is refined.
I think my name is Tam. I mean, I like to ask 30 questions. I think I'm like and also I can't do a cartwheel. I never did those kind of physical. I don't know how to do this cartwheel. I don't think I'm very. I feel like if I do it, I'll break my neck or something. Yeah, I don't think I'm flexible.
She bakes banana bread. Fun fact, she likes to bake.
The best in town.
Okay, yeah, my name is Elizabeth. I'm a step candidate. Question. One fact, I love nature. Anything nature. I want to visit. Different planets.
So these are different planets. You believe that people live there.
Yeah, because I believe that God didn't just create the earth, created the universe. So I would like to see
So did you watch the live broadcast?
Yeah, I do actually. The first time we had the success of the one day, I think my husband. Just
people are there in this other planet. Yeah. There's a whole different.
No, I don't think there is there.
Not living there, but people go there, right? And then they are still what's the word now? Some discoveries.
Yeah.
You can never be sure that like probably people really there.
No,
You can walk on ground and you just have to
I don't
There's no other planets like. There's no other planets.
not
So
living
why do
like
you
you're living
have
here.
all these
But there's this project,
Imagination. That's a
So my actually aliens and stuff like you don't know.
That's the keep it to myself.
So what are aliens? You think that you can't identify as human beings? As well.
Because Mars is still the planet like still is like closest here. Yeah, it's like the closest to supporting life to Earth. But it's not like they're going to be there and living like a normal school.
To like what you said, like this there's no life anywhere
Yeah.
else. So I
Then
don't
I
know.
like,
But
we make human
I
life.
believe too.
Yeah.
But all these movies that we're always seeing, like, I believe there's life somewhere else.
Well, if there is life somewhere else, they might not have the kind of senses that we have.
Yes.
Because our own senses is what we can use to process who we are, interact with. Because there's even on this planet, there are still sounds we can't hear. There are still things we can't see. That's like dog can hear or see some things. You understand? So some sounds are too loud for us, some are too low for us. So so I believe that even if they exist, we probably don't know what their lives are.
But the science is actually on their way to discovery because that's what you just described now seems to be like the theory of evolution. So we got to this stage because those people that you're talking about, we don't have our own senses actually, develop into what we have. That's what evolution is all about. Might just be maybe
Let's watch and see.
2000
That would
or
take
3000
millions of years now, because it took us millions of years to get here. So
Yeah, right.
How is it gonna rise?
Don't worry, we'll do that. We'll do that. There's no issue, you know that I'm an explorer.
I'm too African to say yes. Just chill.
Okay, my name is Yemi Otola, business development, events planner. Fun fact.
you mentioned that football thing, right?
Imagine a policeman that is talking on the road, you want to arrest me. So,
Okay.
and they do let's be
Yeah,
You can't get it, right?
I'm in the army, they think I'm in the army, everybody thinks I'm in the army.
So that's what your rank.
So you're not in the army, but
There's a lawyer here.
I don't think
When you get to see trouble,
just talk that. I don't talk. I'm bringing out my botas card.
So what is
That's intelligent. That's intelligent. Know how Nigerians think. Know how they think.
Did you know what? Some places for you know why? My dad was in the army, so I know how to talk to them. I know
Okay. There's a backup. Before I go and buy the wallet.
So when they see me like that, you don't think.
It's okay.
Don't worry, I'm good at
I love movies and I also love
Sunday after
I enjoy it a lot, like
Yeah, my name is Evanji. I'm a fashion designer and a film administrator. Yeah, I love driving. So people say it's not a fun fact because it's actually part of my review. I can drive. I can drive 48 hours, not more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because the time last day, every day, all 3 years, overnight, I was going on those states, Lagos,
So for people looking to invest in Uber, Taxify,
so there was a time I had an accident that the car turned good twice. I came out the next day I still drove. Yeah, and I'm a follower. I'm a man fan.
I'm a Barcelona fan.
And also,
Yeah.
guess when I'm an activist. Yeah. I'm an activist.
You follow Showore?
Sir?
Do you follow Showore?
Yes.
Okay, because you look honestly, I swear, when you walk in, I'm not lying. I'm not lying. I just.
I was always a union.
Yeah, it's like you came with that energy. Once I saw you, I'm like, this guy is ready for protest.
Then I was always at the forefront. When people see me, they be like,
That's a fun fact.
Yeah.
Especially the driving. Like,
Yeah.
accident. You
But
didn't even
there's
stay
a
home.
lot of confidence in that that it gives you.
I like I don't.
Yeah. So I did that too.
Hi everyone, my name is Bola.
Let's turn the camera to
I'm the guy behind the camera. So I'm an IT consultant, software developer, trusting lighting, special effects, live streaming expert. Fun facts, I love watching TV. Another fun fact, I hate watching TV.
Nice.
Yeah.
But the way I did end it though, you didn't give us the whole gist. Investor.
Too much.
You get yours. Wow. Okay, so it's nice to meet everyone. So we're basically here just to learn from our guests to unlearn as well. Because you realize we are just 5 years in marriage, and you realize that when it comes to marriage, correct me if I'm wrong, there's no one size fits all. Each marriage and each relationship has its own uniqueness. I also think that what works for A might not work for B, and it might work as well. Correct me, I stand corrected as well. But I also, one thing I think I've learned in a few of the outings we've had was a time, I think I mentioned it earlier, when we were at a gathering, and I think my wife has been having troubles about a particular scenario. I can't place it now if I remember. And she heard someone else mention the same thing. It was not like, wow. So, it was like a light bulb moment for her to realize that. So what me I'm going through and I'm having a lot of headache about, someone else is actually going through it. Pastor B said something. He said, no, when Pastor Sam said something one time, he said, the problem is not the problem, it's the person looking at the problem most times. So that's a change in perspective sometimes really helps. And that's one of the things I'm hoping that we'll be able to share here and share. So if anybody has any question against it, they could probably just pop up and let's share. But I just want you to just share with us your journey so far. Give us the experiences, how it's been, everything. We're a family here.
So are we having bullet points for what we're going to discuss?
Yes,
just like topics.
Not really, actually. We're hoping that there'll be like an open conversation where we all talk and just learn together.
Like footballs. You've never been on cover.
It's like being in a radio, it's like a live radio
where
station.
Everybody gets to talk.
Everyone come on stage. They are the ones leading conversation, and then they can bring someone from the audience to join in and ask questions or say something.
Yeah.
So how long have you guys been married?
8 years. So I think we'll just start sharing our experience, So we've been married for 8 years.
Sorry, it's not the length of years.
Yeah. Sorry. Totally forgot about that. Okay, so is it working now? Or okay. So we've been married for 8 years, and of course it's not in the amount of years, because somebody married for a year, in fact a single person can be wiser, and like I was sharing earlier, the work started because of the challenges in our own marriage. Even though we've sort of known before we got married that we were kind of like called to families, but we didn't know how. I don't know, we never really thought of marriage counseling, or maybe I never thought of it, but we got a word from God that called us like a healing stream, so that's kind of like what we named our family before getting married. But we never, let me say, I never imagined it to be something like this. So we got married, And you know, like they say, even if God whispered into your ear to say, "Oh, my daughter, this is the person you should marry," you still have to like make it work. It's no guarantee that your relationship will work out. So I think that was what happened. We struggled like any other person. Then we are very strong personalities, two of us, you know. So we really struggled. There was a power tussle. It was just unnecessary fight. We didn't understand each other. In fact, sometimes, even till now, we still fight. Like, I think what's just different is when you know you're on the same team. Was then we used to fight on opposing teams. So we'll fight each other. Like everybody just wants to win. Now we both win. Like we have already won. It's not nobody's going anywhere. So if we fight today, tomorrow is another day. We'll settle it. If we fight now, the next minute is another day. We're back, you know, doing marriage, you know. So I always say that one of the most important thing that I can say to an intending couple, a couple, is you have to learn the art of carrying on your relationship while waiting to fix your issues. So we tend to fix the issues while waiting to fix your issues, because your issues are not really about the marriage. And I always say it's the marriage that is doing you. You know, when Yoruba people say one share, if you understand Yoruba, like, oh, your village people are doing you. Marriage sort of does that to you. It doesn't change for anybody. It's not going to change for you too because you're special. It will just be there. And you would have to be the one to like condition yourself and learn what it's trying to teach you. You know, so you have to learn to do your marriage while waiting to fix your issue. So if I can say what's different from year one now, it's not even that the fight stopped. It's not that, oh, everything is fixed, like wonderful, perfect. No, it's just that we now understand that there's marriage and there are issues. So I'll just give an example. This morning, we have this wardrobe locker that the handle is bad. So of course, when our son opened it, we all take things out from there. I think he must have slammed it and closed it. So we couldn't pull it out. So when I wanted to open, I'm like, oh, who closed it? So I naturally just went out to the kitchen to get like a hat, and I was going to like start doing it. As soon as I did it, I hurt myself here. So I'm like, yeah. So he then said, oh, okay, let me wait. So he came and was using the spoon. So I'm like, try, why don't you? So he was going on. I'm like, why don't you try the top? Like, put it, like, no. If he does this side, it will work. And I'm like, okay, you know, because in my head, I've pictured how the top would work. So I'm like, do that top. Do like if you just listen to me now, this your struggle will end. But I was like, no, he's done it before, like on this side. So I said, okay. So of course he did decide, and I think he did the top, it didn't work. So he now said, oh, if he gets a plier. So I said, okay, do you want to go and get he was saying, if I just get a plier now, I'll open this thing. No, but the plier is in the car. So he didn't say, let me go. So I said, do you want to go and get a plier? In the past, I said, oh yeah, uncle, go and get it. Which one is if I get it? Why are you announcing to get a plier? Go and get the plier. Anyway, he went to the car downstairs to get the plier. So the gist is, by the time he came back, the spoon had moved from where it was. So the spoon, I think he put the spoon on that, it was now on the side. So it was like, you this. So immediately he just looked and said, you touch this thing, like why? You still attempted to open this locker, even though I just said that I'm going to go and get. Why didn't you? So I'm like, oh, so in your mind, as we were going down, you're like, oh, this girl is going to try to open this thing. So I said, what does that mean to you? Does that mean that I don't trust you or that I don't want you to help us? So it was like, no, did you touch it? Why did you attend? I said, so I now said to him that I anticipated this conversation. So I moved the spoon. Because me too, I know in my head that he would, as he's leaving, he would like not want me to touch it. So I moved the spoon. So and I said, exactly, you fell into my trap. Like, what does it mean to you to be able to help out in this way? So it was like, no, since I said I'm going to go and handle it, you actually let me handle it. And these are things that are important in marriage, which is why couples fight. A man will feel like, oh, he's been belittled, like, or he's not trusted, or, you know, he wants to help his family, but you're always like coming to the scene. You will feel like, oh, I wasn't even thinking that much to it. Like, it's just, maybe you went to get plier. What if I opened it before you come back. Like, but sometimes we have to pay attention to these things because it matters to your partner. Do you see? So of course, like I said, nothing, dramatic happened. But what happened was I decided to go on a journey with God. And I say I because we didn't exactly sit down to say, oh, let's fix the issues in our marriage. This is what we're going to do. Everybody, if he was telling the story, he would say he too. And that's why another thing is you have to do the work. Marriage takes two. Yeah. But there are three of you in the marriage. There's you, there's your partner, and there's God. So at every given point, there'll always be two, which is either you and God or your partner and God. So when the world says it takes two, we agree with them, but not necessarily two, because we're not even talking about abuse or all these big problems. You know that we don't have big problems. These small problems that become big, so you have to do the work. So I decided that, okay, since there's no divorce, God, this is not the marriage you promised me. And then, of course, God started to show me my own flaws, and how I could just, if I'm asking for something, I could just, so I went on a journey to do marriage God's way and just to love, like the Bible says. And that's how we now, found ourselves here. And I think that's also why I will let him speak, So those are the things that I can say for now. And it's been a journey, like it's still a journey. Marriage is done with, it's a long journey. So I always say, why the rush? Why are we rushing to fix the issue? So if we fight today, so long as I can sleep, tomorrow we will settle it, So it's too long for me to be, in a place of unrest. But I thank God we're on the journey. Things are a lot better, of course, because, we know better. But I think it's all God. And it's really just coming back on one team and then doing it from there.
I like this microphone. You can clap. So that's my wife. Okay, so I do MC as well, professionally, yes. So, yeah, I do a lot of things. Okay, all right. Let me just quickly say this, that for me as a man, and that's one thing I always encourage men to have, and I always say it's the vision. I saw this down the line. Even before I got married, before I met her, I've had the vision that, okay, this is what my family is going to be like. This is what we're going to be doing and other things. And I thank God, for helping me with a woman who can support me in that regard, because some way or the other, I could have ended up with someone else who I would then be struggling, to, get the person aligned with me. She understands the vision very well. And it's not every fight that is unhealthy. Some fights are necessary for your growth. So you must understand that. There are couples that I can see when they are fighting. I can tell people are fighting to be apart, and there are people who are fighting to be together. It's a different thing, though it's a fight, but you can tell that these ones are fighting to be together. So because iron sharpeneth iron, and when it's going on, there'll be clashes. So, but both of them will get better at the end of the day. So you must be able to distinguish, okay, this fight, these people, what's their aim, what's their intention? Okay, now sometimes we are so much focused on growth that we ignore the other person's emotions. So I want you to be better. So like a magic, I just want you to be better. Just be better. You're so much focused on the growth, and you just forget the fact that, okay, this person is coming from somewhere. This person has to, it's a process. You just forget the process. What you want is what you want, and you just want it immediately. If it's possible. And that's why you see people looking for shortcuts and looking for, voodoos and other things to, anything they can do to just like change the person overnight. And sometimes, it gets me wondering, like, okay, first of all, you guys, it's not like you are planning to die tomorrow. You have years to live. So why are you in a hurry? That's one. And if you're like that, what about God that has been tolerating you all these years? What about God that's been tolerating you all these years? So, that's where the problem is, when we just think that, okay, if you can fix this, we'll be fine. So it's just like you've assumed that the person is the problem. So if this person can just fix this, once you fix this, you'll be fine. And that's in violation of certain principles, because the two of you are one. All right. So you make the problem the person's problem. Okay. So when you said that thing that It's not a one size fits all and other things. And those are, things on the surface. But really, there are principles, all right? There are principles that is applicable to all situations. It's just like God's word, all right? It's applicable to every situation. So so there are principles that are applicable. It might not be the same thing. A word for healing for you, someone might interpret it for business breakthrough, and it will still work. So it's the same word. So there are principles that can work generally like that. It's one size fits all. There are principles like that will fit all like that. Okay. So, but we always focus on that. We just assume. So when you forgot, there's a lot of remembrance and learning and memorization that you need to do. There's a lot of speaking to yourself that you need to do. For instance, two of you shall become one. If you dwell on that thing, it will change a lot of things. Imagine how you respond to problems, how you respond to things when you know that both of you are one and it's no longer the person's problem. Do you understand? So, it's a principle that you can dwell on. Am I moving too fast? Am I moving too fast? Okay. No, I'm going somewhere. I'm just going to round this with this. So, and that's to just say that if you look at yourself, you have this four sides to you. You are physical. You have a physical side. You have the sexual side. You're a sexual being. You are an emotional being, and you're a sexual being. All right. And when you look at problems in marriages and everything, they're always around these issues. If you look at them, all around them, so they're always around these issues. And sometimes you will, when you look at yourself, when you assess your relationship or your marriage, you can always reach yourself in these four areas. Physically, how are we doing? Oh, we look cute, we look good. Oh, the physical attraction is there. Everything physical. You might give yourself a thumb up, like, okay, what do we rate yourself? 80, 90 out of 100, whatever. Then spiritual, it's there. And emotional, you can rate yourself, and also the sexual aspect of it. But one thing that has always been the major issue, which really focus on, that's been the major issue, especially for men, is that emotional understanding, emotional intelligence. We really, really don't pay attention to people's emotions, and that's where the bulk of the problem is. And when you look at every other thing, you will see that they like the physical thing stands on the emotions, the sexual thing stands on the emotion, and sometimes people think they are spiritual, and they are rather religious, and they brush people's emotions aside, and in the sense of trying to tell you the truth, I don't care how you feel. Do you understand now? I don't care how you feel, in the sense of what I'm trying to say. So you are just religious. You're focused on your religious practice, whereas you're not paying attention to the person's emotion. So when you look at it, at the end of the day, the foundation of everything is just this emotion, how we make people feel. So, it's just for you to be able to assess yourself and know these things and speak the truth. And finally, let me just say this, in closure for my first session, is that I talked about growth and the fact that changes would definitely occur. Now, this same me that is talking now is not the same me that we're talking tomorrow again. Just by doing this exercise, a lot of things will happen, in my mind. Everything I'll change. I'll be better. Do you understand now? The same thing will happen to my wife. Okay, so we will change. All right. Now, some of our fun facts now, your fun facts today might not be your fun fact again in the next 1 year, in the next 2 years. Do you understand now? So we are changing. All right. So we must understand that we are changing, and you must be able. That's why it is important to have these conversations and have that, and be able to pay attention to the person's emotion, because that person is changing. Okay, how does this make you feel? Paying attention to the person's emotion, it is very, very critical. Very, very critical. All right. This emotional awareness, it is very, very critical. Once we can get it right, there's a lot that will change. Most of the problems that we have, if we can pay attention, no matter what the problem is in marriage, the number one problem in marriage, whatever the problem is, if attention is paid to people's emotions, I tell you, get to the root of the problem, and it will be solved. It will be solved.
Things from what you guys said. Do you have anybody that has any questions? Because I think you wanted to ask too.
Oh yeah. Okay. So from what you said, now I have to remember.
Okay, one.
When you said two becoming one,
Yeah.
and that every problem is not one person. So it's not just one. That's why.
Okay.
So my question would be: so what if so because we are from different backgrounds, right? And we have different personalities.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're able to foresee some certain things. So what if the warning has been there all the while, like you get into this trouble, but eventually that's the person didn't take you heed to that night, right? Then eventually got into that trouble.
Yeah, I understand.
Take off that responsibility
Again. I told you, you feel like.
I was even going to say that too. When you were talking about trusting, when you give the example of the fact that he needed you to trust him. Exactly. So what if in that situation where he's like, see this thing, I'm very certain, I see ahead. Take it like this. Why don't we do it this way? And then you now take the back and say, okay, let's try it. And then you now get in trouble. So what happens? Do you then?
Okay, you see, that's a very fantastic question. That's something that plays out in most marriages, even in a marriage and everything. So that's where love covers everything. You see, love is not only when it's convenient. So you must love the person, be ready that even when you don't do this, I will still love you. It's a decision you've made already, even before the person makes the mistake. All right? It's an unconditional love. It's not based on their obedience. God didn't stop loving you when you disobeyed. Do you understand? So it's not based on their obedience. And sometimes it's pride. I told you, because you believe you know better. Sometimes you let people make their mistakes and learn from it. That's a human being. Do you understand now? You're looking at a whole human being. And sometimes, I'm coming. And sometimes, the thing is that, sometimes I tell my wife, I said, this is an independent being. If you're not even in the person's life, this person will make this mistake and learn from it. They've been growing, they've been managing their life one way or the other before you came in. So it's not like this person. So, there are some ways, some things that you do that tells the person that makes them feel incomplete, inadequate. Do you understand what I'm saying now? Okay? So, and it's okay for you to understand that you're complete, I am complete. Okay, so it's not like you're incomplete. You complete me. Sometimes in the place of we're trying to serenade, okay, we say things, all right, while we're trying to serenade. Some people will not get married in this life and they're perfect, they'll fulfill destiny, they'll be good, they will enter heaven. Okay, so you don't give yourself that Christ status. No, don't give yourself that Christ status.
I think that one way to look at it is this. I mean, I hear you when you say it's not pride, but you have to know that pride is not there. There's the pride of being arrogant, and then there's the pride of life. That is just upon all of us, like the way sin is. This sin nature, there is three in nature: lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and pride of life. So that pride of life is something that is in all of us. It's kind of like how you give something, you want to give something, and you assume that the person would need it without exactly asking them, what do you need? But because you are higher placed, I mean, if I see somebody on the road now, everybody needs money. Do you see? So assuming that now, if you ask yourself, this person, would anybody willingly put their family in a ditch? How sure would they be of something that will not work, that will make them tell you that it will work? You have to see like that that's a lot of goodwill. That is a lot of courage. Do you see? So to make a mistake in that thing, right, that is exactly when much more love is now needed. Because if you are not careful, that person will lose their courage, they'll lose their strength, they'll lose. And that's how you find, if it's in a marriage, the person now no longer has a voice. They don't trust their voice again. Not that they trust you, they're just leaving you to go, because they never want to be in that situation again where they drive themselves through the mud. It's embarrassing to say something one can do. So to come back and say, I told you so, is already assuming that you were the only one that was right. And that was not true. It just did not work out for that person. They were right too. They were convinced about that idea. and they were sure that he would take you guys to the next level, or so it's that kind of pride of life that just overwhelms us all, that you should have listened to me. So if you really want to be humble, the first thing is to accept that it is pride, because that's how you learn to be accommodating, so that when somebody is sure of something, even though you know otherwise, you will know that it's free. It's freely given to everybody to be convinced, to talk about their ideas. Your duty is to love and to support them, whether it will work or it will not work. So if it doesn't quite work out, then you would embrace them to say, you know what, this is frustrating for me. We're going to suffer together now and I'm not exactly pleased. Do you see? But I know that you did not plan it to go this way. You were convinced, you thought it would go well. So I see that in you. In fact, if you want to take it further, you will then put it in them that they can still, the same will that was pushing them to say this will work is the same will that can get a solution to take you out of that problem. So if you stop, instead of jumping, I had to learn this thing because naturally I make things happen. Do you see? So marrying and having to small thing, my husband would just be saying, you don't trust me, or he would just be silent on things, and that it's not that he wants to be silent, it's that it's almost like he has packed it to one side that you do what you want to do anyway. So I had to learn these things, just by pausing, by holding back to say, you know what, if you really want to now do, you tell the person they can still, because look at it now. If you are following me now and I'm like, that place when we get there, that's where the gold is. When I get there and I meet a wall, you have to assume that I know you have seen the wall from behind me. You also have to assume that turning back, I won't want to look at your face. So that's the humility you need to embrace the weak at that moment, to say, you know what, look at me, I don't judge you. And that's what God expects us to do. So look at me, I don't judge you. When they look at you, you will be shocked. Most people always say all the things you naturally say to them. So when you don't judge them, they turn around and say, oh, I messed up. Oh, I didn't mean, oh, why did I do this? Oh, no, my head. Oh, I wasn't. Oh, no. Then your consoling will not even be full to say, don't say that. We'll figure it out. They already know you are angry. Everything you can say, they know it and feel it. So I feel like indeed it is our problem. And that's how we learn to come out of it. If we don't address it as one, right, we will never come out. But if we address it as one, it's likely not to happen again. So if I've supported my husband when he has made a mistake, and I've told him, he can see us suffering, which is also another way to be humble. To know he's seeing you suffering. He doesn't like it, or she doesn't like it. When he has seen us suffering like that, it's much more powerful for him not to do it again than if I just say this should not happen again. So most people all would likely learn that way. So when we address it together, that's when it dies. But when we address it alone, so which is what people do, they then start to cut out portions, to protect themselves, if it's money, they start to hide things, you'll find that people will still be busy proving themselves, which is why you got there in the first place.
Before you just say, there's some people that they still get you to that same problem with you.
Gambling, for instance, that has to be an addiction. If it's a gambling problem, for instance, so it's not, context is important. So most people, come face to face with issues that pushes them to hard places every now and then. But some people have addiction. So if somebody is a gambler, for instance, he would believe strongly, but essentially he believes that this gambling, he will make it one day. Why does he want to make it? Because he wants to have big money, to give you big car, to still make his family comfortable. Do you see? So even though it's problem, he's building something like this thing. So you still cannot attack him and say, if you're putting your family in, he will be telling you that, no, I'm doing this for my family. That's why you see somebody working so hard. They say they are working for their family. The family will say, we are not seeing you. We'll rather have you. But they are like, you don't understand. And they are busy going around. So it's better to always go to the root cause of issues. If you have to sit down with the person to say, okay, you know what? I know that this issue will not go away naturally. So let's agree together that if we were to ever get in this situation where you're sure again, maybe we will cut out 50% this way and we'll have this way. They'll find something they can agree with you, because they feel like you're discussing with them. You're not exactly pushing them away. You find, but if it's not even all those extreme issues where they may even need to get help, Do you see? Most things are just like once in a while.
So you said like men want results. In other words, like you want results, you want results. I'll give an example, which was way before. Not married yet.
Yeah.
He said when he was getting married to his wife, he just told her, this is what I want, take it or leave it. I mean, he wanted results. And he's a big man of God. And I've also heard another side of the story. That look, so two things, like, is it wrong to want that result? Like, say, look, you need to do this sharp, sharp. Then also, if you're not married yet, that's a red flag. And looking at this thing, and should you be afraid, or should you just say, like what she talked about? It's a gradual process, it's a growing process. Should you guys, before you got married, you're praying it. Did you see some things in your wife or your husband that you didn't really like at all, or you just prayed about it and you went ahead?
So it's always like 80-20. 80 of what you like and 20 that you have to manage for the rest of your life, probably. And the thing is that, you see, we are not all alike. We are not all the same. We all have different appetite. Some people have this. Some people have they practice emotional or spiritual BDSM, whereby they beat their partner to submission. Do you understand that? And you will not know. Some women love to be dominated, and I'm not talking about. Some women love that aspect. I mean, they don't like tender guys. Do you understand what I'm saying now? And it could probably be their nature. It could probably be from experience. So you may just understand that, all right? And that's why we have to be very careful in generalizing some things, okay? And that's how you know the truth. The truth has only one side, and it's always applicable to every situation. So once you test it here, if you did science, you understand what I'm saying? There will always be light and dark reaction. So if you test it in the light, it must give you this result. If you take it to the dark place, it must give you that's how you know that this thing is true. So if you tell me anything and I put it there, it's not working, and I see a place where it's not working, then that means it's incomplete. Do you understand? It's not a total truth. Okay? So that's how you know. You have to test. The Bible says we should test all these things. So you should test it. It doesn't matter who is telling me that thing. I must test it. It's like I hold myself that responsibility to be wise for my life, for myself. It's a responsibility I hold myself. Okay, it's in doing myself a favor that I've decided to pay attention to you. So it's not like, do you understand what I'm saying? It's not like I don't have any option. So it's in doing myself a favor. So you might count me as one of the numbers, but hey, I'm here to get something. And if I'm not getting anything, I walk away. Okay. So there's a place of culture as well. Where is this person coming from? Do you understand what I'm saying now? Where is this person coming from? If you give the mic to a man born and raised in proper Nigeria to speak in 1950 to speak, and give the mic to someone else, maybe in another client to speak, you will see the difference. Just like when they are talking about they are managing their home and other things, you'll be hearing discipline, you'll be hearing in the man's voice in Nigeria. Do you understand? Wherever in another place it might be a different thing, all right? So it's the influence of the environment, the influence of the culture, and that's why you yourself, you have to decide, where do I want to be? What do I want? Okay, for me now, and for us, we have this mantra in our home. Or let's say we submit to the truth. Okay, that's what. So if we believe one thing today, and that's what we're if it's not solid anymore, there's a higher knowledge, a better thing, we switch to it. Okay, so you give yourself that freedom, for better, because you want to be better, and you know that there's always something better. So you have to give yourself that freedom. So it's not only Bishop Idibo that said that. My pastor, then I was under him, Pastor Bakari, also the way he proposed to his wife. And they say those things boldly. The way they the way they do love then is different. Do you understand? It's in their own time, and it will. And do you know the funny thing? It might be what would turn the woman on and say, this is the man. Do you understand? In their time, but you may just be looking at it, this is a correct guy. He's a man that can speak like this. That is the man that is the good man in that time. So you can't just look back and judge them. It worked during their time. Okay, all right. So, but as a fact, that's why I said that we shouldn't be in a hurry. We are too much in a hurry. We are so impatient. You see, we are so conscious of our time, our biological time, so conscious of it that it affects everything that we do. We are always counting out, like, man, let's just do it now. Let me see it now. Let me fix it now. Like I told some people, even about Nigeria, I said, everybody just want Nigeria to be better. And I said, it might be in the next 200 years. You don't know anything. It might not be in your time. So don't be in a hurry. Don't be in a rush. Don't be in a rush for anything. Take your time. Just follow through the process. Just follow through the process. So you as a man, you will see things. You earnestly want that thing to change. You want it to change. But you see, your growth and maturity will come from that thing that you're looking at. If you allow yourself, and what is maturity? Is when someone is patient, we say that person is mature. Is that not? So it's being patient. So a lot of patience is needed and a lot of understanding, seeing the behind. If God wants to show you something and you want to be at rest, he will take you behind it. You see the behind of the problem, you see behind of the situation, and you be at rest. And everybody may be telling you, rush now, put pressure on you. You just be relaxed because you've seen the behind. So that's just it. So just relax, recline your seat and see the behind, and you see the whole process. You see a clearer picture, and you'll be very, very useful and relevant at the end of the day.
I think none of this, I think it's a lot of things, but I'll just try and summarize in just a few bullet points, which is when it comes to marriage, one thing is key, like you said, we're not going to, divorce is not an option. So we just have to make this work. And it's a function of us understanding that the two of us are one. And we should also bear in mind that we would work on ourselves. Because it's critical that we work on ourselves. I like the analogy you made when you were explaining to our wife then about when something happens. Yes, you probably would want to say, this is it. But like you said as well, the other person is one way or the other flogging himself over a particular thing. And so many other issues. So, wow, it's been amazing. I just want to ask one question. You mentioned something about vision. So for me, when I got married to my wife, I knew I wanted to get married. The honest truth was, I wasn't 100% sure about the journey, but I knew she was yours. And I knew that it was a perfect fit as in she was a perfect fit for me at the time. But to be very clear, I want you to throw some light into that vision part, because when you said it, I can boldly tell you that I did not have the vision plain when I got married to my wife. I think that I didn't have it plain, as plain as it is now, that I can boldly tell you that I have the next 20 years figured out. As in, like, it's clear. It's never been this clear before. But when we were about to start, it wasn't clear. So I just wanted to show that out there. I don't even have a person to actually have a vision. Maybe I'm just wearing just to get some content. I realize that right now, nowadays, we tend to say, hey, for your marriage, before you want to get married, you have to have this. You have to have this.
You have to have the vision.
Purpose to be married.
Yeah, exactly.
I can only tell you I didn't have any. But you ask me now, I do have. And it's getting clearer.
I want to add a question to that. You can speak to it. But at what point do you think, because you mentioned intending for food, at what point do you think that people should start doing pre-marriage counseling? So if you're dating someone, do you have to wait until you're engaged to consider like pre-marriage counseling? Marriage counseling. Because at that point, what if it's not related to you?
All right, so this is what I tell single people. And everybody should have a coach. So it's not only when you have a relationship, do you understand? Just have a coach, have your coach you're talking to. So the moment you start talking to someone, you bounce it off your coach. Do you understand? You have developed a relationship with your coach. So you have a coach, a relationship coach. Someone meets you and wants to ask you out, or you already tell the person, it's part of the conversation, oh, I have a coach. Oh, really? You have a coach? Yeah, I have a coach. He changes everything. Like, wow. Yeah, no, but seriously, do you understand? Like, oh no, yes, you understand now. The person knows that, you see, because it's just that you are saying that there's going to be a professional overseeing to what we are doing. Do you understand now? Now, so it's not like I'm scaring you away. It's for me to even do better with you. Okay, so do you understand now? So it's a plus, like so it's a new thing. It's not really like things that people really know, but I tell them you should have a coach. Okay, like someone asked me a question, like 2 days ago, what the story I was doing on my page, not the sex one that we're doing now, and talking about distance relationship, that when should they, I said just before you start, I said, can it work living in different continents and other things? I said yes, it can work. But just before you start like this, from the beginning, involve a coach, all right? Because at the end of the day, both of you, someone must move. Do you understand? So someone will cross, and it takes away tension, pressure when you have someone that you are both talking to. Okay, it takes away tension, it takes away pressure. It's just to help you. All right, it's just like the same way you have someone helping you in your house, someone helping you with your car. It's just the same thing. It's just the same thing. So it makes it easy. And when we say vision, people always think like, like, okay, you have to sleep, wake up, all those things. No, it's just, let me just say a very simple question. What is the essence, the purpose of this thing eventually? Because that's what will determine the lifespan, how it will last. Some marriages ended on the wedding day because that's the vision. It starts short. Let me just get married. That wedding day like this is what's going to happen. Understand? So that's the day. That vision has been fulfilled already. So struggle will begin. Do you understand? They enter into struggle. Like most of the things that we went through is because of the vision. I know already that this thing, there's a legacy. This is beyond us. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, this is beyond us. The things that we are doing, even so far, so good, the things that we've been doing, we know already that okay, we are changing the culture already. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, so that's what vision is all about. So what's the relevance of my family? What would this marriage mean? What's the purpose of this relationship? Okay, it's just for us to just have kids. Left for me, my wife knows I enjoy life. In fact, I would rather keep my knowledge myself. I'm just working things out, but it's that vision. What is it? Okay, what are we going? So at the end of the day, what would then happen? What would they say of us? And you will see these things. You will see it in families, that were instituted by people that have vision. You will see their second generation, their third generation, they will still be around that thing. If it is governance, they will still be around it. If it is activism, they will still be around it. It's not like they sat them down and indoctrinated them. No, it's the vision. It must outlive you, whether you like it or not, whether you have your own biological child or not. It must outlive you. It's what vision is.
Right. And if I may just add to that, so that it doesn't, feel big or anything, it doesn't have to be it's not ministry. Do you get? It's just, as simple as your values. Do you see? Which you already have. I mean, it's funny that you say, oh, I did not know, but you came from something. And how do you know she was a perfect fit? You put it side by side something. So it's kind of like knowing who you are and what you want so that we drill down to the small things. You don't learn to live in peace. All these big ideas will not materialize or come to pass. You won't even have wait to have children that you pass on the legacy to. So it's down to the small things like what kind of family do we want to have? Do you see what are our values? Are they aligned? Right? So what do I like? So just like he said, take it or leave it. Bishop Oyedepo may have said something along the lines of, this is the kind of man I am. Do you see? So take it or leave it. Now, she followed through because somehow it looked like maybe what she wanted, or at least a part of him looked like it. So that vision is not necessarily ministry or something big that the two of you will do together. So it's not like, oh, as a young married man or as a young lady, you need to have your vision. Vision is not just something a man can have. Do you see? Vision is an idea. We sell it every other day. Do you see? So I also can suddenly come into a knowledge that I'm like, I want us to go in this direction. I will have to sell it in the house. I have to write it down. That's why the Bible says, write it down, make it plain. So write your values down, right? Those are important. And if you don't know it, it's not because you cannot know it. It's just you don't have the level of awareness that will allow you pay attention enough to discover that you have values. You already have them. So it's not something that you have to just we already do these things. You already talk about, and it doesn't even have to be grand. So like I always tell people, if you say I want to marry a tall, dark, and handsome guy, and somebody says I want to marry a God-fearing, integrity, something trustworthy, all those other wonderful things that we consider, it doesn't make it better. You just chose what is important to you. Jesus. But sometimes if somebody says I want a God-fearing man, we feel like, oh, they are the more worthy people than if somebody says I want a handsome man. So they are all conditions at the end of the day. So we all have it. You just need an awareness. You just need to pay attention to yourself enough to find that it's already with you. And just to add to the question you asked, it's not too early. If we're talking about premarital counseling, it's different from relationship counseling. Premarital counseling would sit you down, talk about like the different dynamics of marriage, all these expectations, that the money, sex is topical. Do you see? So you sit down, you talk about it, and so that's done, close to the wedding. Do you see what I'm after engagement? Like once you know that we're engaged, about to be married, you start paying attention. Not because you can't do it before, but of course, because it's topical and it's very structured, you have to be sure.
So what you advise is before you can do you have your coaches.
Yes.
But at the point where you get engaged,
you do premarital counseling. Premarital. So before you get engaged, what you have is just you bouncing off your issues, your ideas. So I have, different couples that are not married yet. They're not even engaged, but every once again they book a session, just like married people do.
Yeah.
Do you see? So it's kind of like letting you know that we're together, we are here to stay, where we already know, we have conviction that we're supposed to be together. Yeah. But because nothing is unfigure-outable, for lack of a better word, that's what moves you to seek counsel. So it's not like, oh, fight to finish. We fight to finish a lot. Once you change your mindset and know that, okay, don't worry, we'll ask somebody, or would read a book, or we'll learn together, it can put you at ease knowing that, okay, we're not on opposing teams, let's just figure this out somehow. And I know a lot of people who do it. In fact, I have a couple, I think I have a meeting with them tomorrow or so. Once they started dating, because we come already with, in the first few weeks of your dating, you can already tell that hey, these are things, so some people come and say, oh, we just want to test, just want to know that we're okay, just like married people do. So that's kind of like the relationship coaching thing. But the structured premarital counseling, that will still be done maybe like when you're engaged, about to be married.
So I don't know any or many like coaches. How can people find them? Is there like an association? Well, how do you
find a coach? Yeah.
I'm just asking, like, because if she wasn't here now, I wouldn't have gone to her DM and be like, oh, hi.
Another thing is, if I wasn't here, would you be asking the question, let alone get the answer? This is so. It's just like how they talk about law of attraction. You have to want it for you to even know that it's available. And now that you know, let's imagine that you were to be looking for a relationship, as simple as putting it on Google, relationship coach in Nigeria, and you find a list. So it's really a question of how badly do you want it, and when do you want, and are you in that mind space? Has it come into your awareness yet? Because until it has, you can't. This is when that question is, how can I find them? Once it's coming to your awareness, how can I find them becomes a question of, are you looking? Because on Instagram there and you explore, because it's this top now.
So it never even occurred.
Exactly.
I knew of marital, but it didn't occur to me that we can actually have
talk to people. So if you put on Instagram.
Yeah, and so another question I had actually was, what I had in mind, who would say, or find a couple who you look up to and ask, yeah, but would you advise that, or actually get someone who is
professional? It works. Mentorship works. In fact, mentorship works very well. It's just that sometimes your mentors will even point you in the direction of somebody else, that's more that can maybe, answer the questions or ask the right questions. Do you see? So it's not that your mentors cannot tell you what. So say, for instance, something has happened and the answer is be patient with each other. If your mentor is telling you be patient, you just be like, till when? Do you see? But if I ask you, if you come to me, for instance, I would have to ask you a question about your desires, your values, and try to find like a common ground that we can align first. Naturally, by yourself, you can create the capacity in your heart to be patient without me telling you be patient. You already be able to say, okay, so I guess I need to be patient. You see, so that's kind of like the difference. But your mentor can just naturally tell you, hey, be patient, and you be like, for how long, sir? You know, so you can have both.
And this person is completely obviously against counseling, for example. It doesn't necessarily mean that's the wrong person.
Exactly.
You should still be open to that. So, as much as everything they're saying now is right and it's perfect to start off at that note, just be open to that. You know, everything is not always black and white, you know. So just have that side open.
But a caution to the person not being open to counseling, because you need it along the time, whether you like it or not. It might not come directly, it might be indirectly, but it's the issue now is, are you open to learning? That's something you have to be careful about. You know, so when you hear counseling, you know, most people, that's why, you know, we're always using the word coaches, because it's almost like there's a problem. It's almost like, okay, you are wanted in the principal's office kind of thing. Do you get? So it's easier when you say, okay, this is someone who's coaching me, wants me to be better or nothing. So, you know, it takes away the strictness, you know, attached to saying, you know, the person. So, but it's very key and very vital for this person to know that, hey, because there'll be a lot of work, I'm telling you. And most people who are not really into counseling or getting a relationship coach are men. Women are ready. So, and it will be a problem. Like, for instance, let me tell you something. I have a lot of women who will come to me like, okay, they are ready for counseling, but how would they get their husband? They'll not be asking me, hey, what do you think I can tell him? A guy came for counseling after doing his own session. He paid for his wife and he said, okay, I'll tell her when she come. As in, do you understand? Can you see the difference? Can you see the difference? Like, okay, so it's just for her to just, can you see what I'm talking about? Why it is very critical. So it's the women will be thinking about it. A woman particularly paid. That woman, she forfeited because the guy wasn't available for. As in, she forfeited.
He agreed to come. Then
Yeah.
they had a fight on the morning of the counseling.
So, but you know, it's not always like that with women. Like, okay, so I've paid you. The woman would have to find a way to show up for the counseling and stuff like that.
In essence, is you have to understand your own power, and sometimes the conditioning that, especially us as women, we put ourselves in. If a person is not interested in counseling, you have to check what is the context. Somebody will say, are you sure? Is this problem bigger than something we can solve? Like, do we really need to go to talk to somebody? They're inviting you into a dialogue with them. Accept that, sit with them and try to talk to them. Not that you just like, no, my coach, I have to go. No. They're inviting you into a dialogue, but you will find that some people are proud and you will know the difference. Somebody is just saying, and you will not even be from the day you have issues. People are talking like, what are they even saying? Look at this one. They think they know. Those guys don't have problems. He will already be like telling you, and
they're already negative about everything.
So they're not open to learning from anybody. They believe they know it all. Those people too. If you have married them, it's not like you divorce them. There's still like a way to appeal or to just invite them in. But essentially for singles, it's kind of like how you know that so somebody will tell me, oh, we're dating, and my boyfriend already told us that he's not doing premarital counseling. Do you want to do? Yes. So how did he tell you that he's not doing? And that's the final. Like how the man said, oh, my wife will come. Do you see? So sometimes we already even project that idea that please, do you see? It's just a dialogue. Babe, this is important for me. I want to become a better woman. In fact, I want to learn to be the woman God has called me to be. So I know that you already should also know where it stands. So if it's somebody that doesn't want to do it, bring into the conversation. I know you don't like, you are private. I know you don't like talking to strangers, but I found this person, or can we find somebody together? Something that opens up the dialogue that you can then.
Yeah, just be wise and be diplomatic about it.
Still on the hand. So, I mean, what struck me, we talked about the generation gap and everything. So just imagine, like I have an uncle who goes to women, and I know it's like that when he's talking to me, like, who wasn't answering that nonsense? Do you understand? Can that be my coach?
No, you tell us now. You tell us. Can he be?
That's true. Yeah.
You can actually find someone when you're exploring. You have to set
Yeah.
out for the person.
Yeah, I know, but even an alpha male too, like my uncle.
That is you are that's
I
like,
just like him, like, wow, you guys.
hey, so it comes back to you. So do you see? Exactly. So basically, it comes back to you. No, sir. What I'm saying is this. No. See, it's not about the wife.
Wait.
Wait.
If you get married to someone like that in the beginning, you know that's their personality, right? But you hope and you wish, okay, this person is going to change. The only thing that can really change that person's personality is God. You're not going to get married to someone I think that person's personality will change. I remember when I was going to get married to my husband, I had on my notes, and we married in 2014. I wrote down everything I did not like about him, and I said, can I live with this? That was my question to myself. There was a question mark. And I'll give you an example. What was on there was he loved his friends with a passion, like, and the ride or die guy, like, this guy has been there for me. And we would always argue about it. So I started to notice, okay, most of our arguments would be around friendship. It wasn't coming in the same way, but it was around friendship. So I said to myself, can I live with this? Then after that, I wrote down my prayer points on everything I could not live. Well, I was thinking I can't live without, right? And luckily for me, I was praying about it. It doesn't mean that the next person's prayers will be answered,
Right.
but I knew that this could be my life forever. So what do I do? So I feel like if you now get married to each other, which is part of the vision that we're talking about, you have to know that this is this person. If they don't change, are you still going to be happy? So mine was, okay, pray about it. Love me to an extent, yes.
Yes.
I know that this is my own fault.
Right.
So I feel like our parents, they knew that they married alpha men, and they knew that, that's why most women from our parents' generation, they're a lot more submissive. Because they knew what they got married to. So if the woman is now shocked that, oh, my husband is saying no, then they shouldn't even be married in the first place.
So I think that your question even comes back to you, because I feel like the question you're asking is, oh, I like it too. Like, it shows the sign of, like a man that is in charge. You know how the Bible says, I know Abraham, he will command his household, So the question you have to be asking is, should that person be your mentor? And it has to come down to, how are you? What have you patterned your life after? If that's the only vision you've had for it, like, what I mean by vision is that's what has been ahead of you and you've admired it, it's likely that that's who you'll be. Because you like, he's capable, he's in charge of his home. But again, that's the importance of exposing yourself to different, and like he said, the truth. You must go after the truth, no matter who is your mentor, no matter who is your coach. You must personally, he said you owe it to yourself to pursue the truth, and you pursue it based on the nudgings of God's Spirit inside of you. So as you are telling your wife that you can't do that, what do you mean? I do what I say. There'll be a nudging in your heart that will tell you, but that's not right, or something like that you will totally ignore. So based on who you are now, I want you to know that you know who your mentor should be. Just pay attention to the unraveling that is happening within you, and you know who to follow. The honest answer is, if you are with a person who is like, never, they can't talk to me like that, sometimes it's a sign of emotional lack of emotional intelligence. And doesn't matter whether they are old or young. You may not be able. Ngozi that is 50 years old. Ngozi that is 50 years old is okay with it. But you did not marry Ngozi now. You know that you have married a Gen Z that already did not even want to marry you. Already did not want. Thank you. A Gen Z that did not even want to marry you. Not for you, self, but she's telling herself that, I don't want to follow any man. Do you understand? So different curriculum. So, but essentially, I think that it's a question that you have to check within yourself to say, what kind of a man do I want to be? And it's an assignment I give intending couples at our first meeting. For your role, what kind of a husband do you want to be? When you write it down, it will tell you who your mentor should be.
Okay, can I ask now,
No, I think he's asked. Okay, okay.
From Genevieve, okay. She says, hello. When you're married to someone that always tells you to know your place as a woman, especially when you
That's
want to fair, what do you do?
When you have someone who's telling you to know your place as
As a woman, especially when all they want is to be treated fairly.
Okay, I'm trying to understand the question.
Like basically she's married to a controlling authoritative person that considers that he's the head of his home and the woman should just follow. That's what
Okay,
she's asking.
that's why most of the things that I've been saying, they are preventive in nature. If you've listened carefully, you realize that they are preventive, and it's because of things like this not to happen. You see, you can. That's the problem with people who are emotionally intelligent and who have empathy. Another person's problem will also be your problem, will be your headache. Do you understand? Because you know the feeling, you can understand where they are coming from. Okay, there's like, for instance, if I'm in relation with someone who was raised in an orphanage home, do you understand now? I probably will now became successful at the end of the day. Would not have money or other thing. You may look at the person and say, oh, she's fine, she's doing well, okay. She can speak Queen's English, she's traveling everywhere. She's, you can look at all those qualities, and she's faithful in her tithing and all those things. Or he or she is, and you will marry for that reason. However, this person has a background and is an experience, all right, which is going to color everything at the end that they're going to do. So it's very important that's why I'm like, you need to just highlight these things. Know this person you're dealing with. Now you're married to a controlling person, all right. Now there's a lot of work you have to do. And what is the work you have to do? You have to calm down. That's the first thing. Calm down. You have to calm down, because you see, what makes elders is because they take their time to look and observe. All right. So you have to observe when you understand something. When you understand it, it's easier to manage when you understand it. Okay, it is very easy to manage when you understand it. That is why you will see that sometimes, let me just put this in, because I like wisdom, and it's left over to anybody who wants. That's what the Bible says, that buy it. If you want it, buy it and sell it not. Now, that's why sometimes you see that no matter how, mostly in African setting, and it's so easy. And I always say this thing, and it is not because of anything, because I know there's, whenever you mention lessons from mothers, sometimes wives are always like, or women are like, mother, there's always this mother-wife rivalry. I don't understand what the whole thing is. Sometimes, no matter how obsessed, disturbed the man is, there's a way the mother can talk to him and he will chill, he'll calm down. Why? She understands him, she knows him. And the mother might be saying, oh, you don't know him. Oh, you don't know him. Do you understand what I'm saying now? It's just wisdom. It's just like you want to get something done. And sometimes I will tell you, I say, look, if I know that I have a boss in my office, because I know this thing is very important for my career, important for probably my promotion, important for everything. And if this person approves this project and I'm able to carry it out, it will be in my favor. All right. You will think about the best way to present that proposal or not. You will think about it. Okay. But the see finish we have in relationship is that take, is it not him? Is it not her? Take. That's the see finish. So you don't even take a moment to process it and think about the power that person has. All right. That's why someone will easily say, Ngozi cannot try that with me, because you think Ngozi don't have a power to do that with you. And I'm sure it's not the Ngozi of this age. The Ngozi of this age, you'll be the one who will not do it, who will not try it with Ngozi. So you need to calm down, understand that, and observe. All right. It's a behavior. The thing about relationship and marriage is that it will turn you to everything. You'll be a behavioral scientist, you'll be a psychologist, you'll be a pastor, you will be everything. Do you understand? So you need to calm down and understand how this person came to be, and don't take it against them. All right. Okay. So for instance, it's sometimes people just look at me and say, most times they say, okay, when I'm angry or my anger, they say, oh, that's the way my father is. He got it from his father. Even my wife will say it, that thing is from your home. Do you understand now? Okay, so you understand this person. This person probably has triggers and other things. You know where this thing is coming from. All right, understanding it can help you to manage it. You can see the background, the behind. You understand where this thing is coming from. You know that, okay, this is probably from experience that this person has become like this. Now, some people are, for instance, it could even be a woman who has probably been in abusive relationship. By the time she's in a correct relationship, she's already had this defense formed already. So she sees anything, she recognizes pattern. It's about to happen again. All right, it's about to happen again, and it's nothing, it's just a natural occurrence, and she responds based from where she's coming from, the experience. So people are not just who they are. We are all a product of our nature and experience. So you have a controlling person, you have to calm down. All right, calm down. You have to grow. You have to understand that this person is like this for so reason, for this reason and that reason. It's not a weapon for you to use against that person. Don't use it as a weapon. It's an advantage for you that you have that information. Use that information to your own advantage. All right. Use the information to your own advantage. This is a controlling person. How do we deal with a controlling person? Why are they controlling? What exactly do they want to achieve? Some people really love validation. All right. And if you don't give it to them as much as they want, they will come and get it one way or the other. All right. So it is just, that's the understanding I'm talking about. Okay. Understanding the nature and the experience that's made that person up. So when you understand it, you know that, okay, this is what is needed. Peradventure, this person needs more validation. You need to assure them that they are strong, they are powerful. Some of these things that we call strength or that is like a problem for us is because of weakness that's being covered or hidden. All right. So, you understand it that, okay, this is what this person is. Most times when you do those things, they calm down because you've recognized the power that they have. It's not so hard now. Odogu, na you na. You that you can talk. Now everywhere we shake, they will calm down. All right. So that's what they need. It's just something. And is some things is just beckoning for your attention. And you just recognize what this person needs. It's like a child crying. The child may be crying, the mother will listen. They all sound alike, but if a woman listens very well, she will know that this one is for food, no, this one is for sleep, this one is because she's paying attention. So it's the same way you need to pay attention to that your partner who's probably feeling insecure, who has developed a very hard shell to protect themselves, and you know that, okay, this is not just about you, it's just from the experience. Something happened while we come, because I've had this experience with one chance. All right, so I still have so I think that I've overcome it. But my wife still laughed about it. That like, we're around Ikoyi, and I saw this because I always read all these stories when they say one chance. So I'm always reading the story. So I saw like 3 men and a guy at the back. They parked this combi bus, and the guy, they were talking to the guy. I saw struggle going on, and this guy was at the back, trying to bring out his pocket, something. I told my wife, I said, they are robbing someone. What can we do? My wife said, Papa, let's call people's attention. Let's do this. But at the end of the day, realized that they're trying to bring down Ileya Ram. My wife was like, Ola, you still have this trauma. Do you understand now? Okay. That's something that someone, if it's not like, okay, my wife was present in my life to observe and to see me experience and go through that. Someone else may not know how to manage that. If you just say, you this guy, you started again. You just like raising false alarm. You are used to. Do you understand how the person would have interpreted it? So that's what I mean by understanding where those things came from. It will always be like that. That's just pay attention, observe, listen very well, calm down, and you'll be able to manage the situation. It's some things will never get away, all right? It will never end, it will never stop, but you will just know how to manage it, all right? Know how to manage it, basically. Mama, you want to ask something?
I think it's just about acceptance. The reason why we don't seek to understand something is because we have made up our mind that it's bad. Do you see? So again, it's a mindset. I mean, we're not saying that it's good to be controlling, but hey, that's your husband that's trying to control you. That's your, if you have a child now that is, going through a season, not doing well academically, he's still your child. it's different from how you can say, just play. Just that one that is your own is still your own. So at the end of the day, marriage would try to squeeze out from you acceptance. Change is constant. Change is always happening. And that man that is controlling today, he can be in church tomorrow and the pastor is talking about marriage and he will learn something, but he won't say it to you. He may get home and try to practice it, but he may not really meet a favorable, and just go back to default. Because when change is happening, it depends on people around us to fan to flame some of those traits before they become sort of like established in our lives. So yes, just take it easy, calm down, work on yourself, right? And make sure your mantra is don't try to criticize what you do not understand. Try to seek to understand where it's coming from. What's even making him control? It may be the culture, it may be the people that you grew up watching. These are things that you must begin to want to know. When you know it, it helps you to, from a place of empathy, look at the person and say, hey, yeah, why are you struggling? Like, because if you see some people who like to have control and like to ask you to do as they say, they're afraid of being rejected. They're afraid of a threat. What if you say no? They can't handle it. So when you come from a place of understanding, you will always be in empathetic mode to say, wow, it must be stressful to always want to have your way. Do you see? You can then begin to, like Abby said, pray for them. Also trust God to teach them. Also, make sure you remember that you're not the only dispenser of truth. So try not to be the one always say, you have to change. This is a bad habit, Just be his wife. If there are things you want to talk about, it's not at the point where he's saying no, that you now be saying, no, this cannot work. Hear it first. You take your time another day. Present your own option. As you go on, you'll find that maybe he's able to listen to you a bit more and you're able to also find your voice. But essentially, it is the non-acceptance that is making you push back. So begin there and try to see how you can love the person while waiting for them to improve and get better.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. Do you have any more questions before I go to? You have another question? Yeah. Okay.
No, you have to do it seriously. Very.
Welcome to the altar.
So I told you. So this is a big guy place. Just 30 seconds. I mean, I've been thinking about it. I've been going about it. But listening to different things that sometimes you get scared. Really, if you are right. So I want to share what you think about what this guy was talking about.
Okay. Do you want to summarize it or you want to play?
No, I just want to play just 30 seconds.
Okay. Would everybody be able to hear it?
How do you summarize it?
Like this.
Somebody has been calling you this.
Me, ma?
Who's that person?
It's one of the book.
Listen to it again.
Okay, he said who told you you married? He said where did you marry? He said the only commandment you are giving is no.
Let's listen to it again. So that, no, so
Let's stop there. Stop there. At the beginning, when I started, I spoke about spiritual, physical, emotional. Remember, I spoke about, but in a sense, some people will want to talk about spirituality, whereas they're being religious and they not pay attention to their emotions. Imagine, it does downplay feelings.
Yes, I think
Sometimes you see some when people are talking, the force of words don't move me, oration don't move me. I break things down. What exactly are you saying? Right? Incomplete. Love is a feeling. You're discrediting feelings. That's some, and those are the people. They're interacting with the children. You see to the with the child. Don't cry. Don't cry.
There's no emotion.
No emotion.
So I think that, I mean, we can all understand where it's coming from, especially the married people. But this is what I feel like we cannot say love is not a feeling, because even when you do good, there's a rush of emotion that come. And that's why the Bible says that if you give and your right hand knows what you have your reward. It's not that, oh, you have your reward because God will punish you. It's like, it feels good to be validated. It feels good to be seen. It feels good to do something for other people, to be impactful. So you'll find that feelings are attached to all of these things. And that's what validates the definition of love being a feeling too. You love it, but where we get it wrong is that it may not necessarily be, which is where what he's now saying that, oh, who told you to love him? Like, you are only find somebody who, when you've heard a lot of bad stories, that's when you start preaching this kind of thing, like, you're supposed to look well, you're supposed to focus on where you're going, you're supposed to like make sure that the person is upright, upstanding, up this, up that. But you find that love is hopeful, right? And so when the Bible says love always trusts, love is hopeful, you find that sometimes it may not make sense to you why a man is sticking by I had a couple once, I counseling, and all the told them to break up, that they cannot marry. Do you see? They fight terribly, but they stayed together. They stayed together and they still found me as a counselor. So you will now start to wonder, why? Like, what if you guys are hurting each other so much? Like, why do you want to stay together? Do you see? Sometimes you have to know that can also be like, they're just trusting and hoping and waiting. But what that man is saying is, find your singleness is about choice. It's a season of choice, because the love that will sustain your marriage will be trying to evolve into the unconditional. But the love that we all feel when we're single is the one that came from a place of, oh, this person is good, your standard against that love. So I meet a guy, he treats me well, he does nice things, she's fantastic, she fits, like he said, he said at the beginning that she fits the picture perfectly. Then you will now have to ask yourself, did you love her or did you love yourself? Do you see? So that's why when we are talking about unconditional love, it's not that it cannot evolve from conditional. It can evolve from conditional, but you will see that when it becomes tested, you would have to stand by your word that you love that person. That's where the evolving comes in. So that man has heard stories. He has seen people say they love each other and stab each other and kill each other. And he knows that they did not love each other. They were only confused. They were only infatuated. Some of them even had trauma, pain that made them think that.
That's why the Bible says something. The Bible says, do not stir love until it pleases. Do not stir love until it pleases. So for single people, I always say it's like you have love. It's just like a perfume. You've kept it. You have to protect your emotions so that eventually it is when you are pleased, that's when you release love. Do you understand what I'm saying now? So you have to protect yourself, protect your sanity, protect everything. So it is when you are pleased, that's when you release love and let love go and let the feelings down. All right. Now, just like my wife has said, fantastic. You see, it's a question of desire. It's a question of desire. What I love, right? And that thing follows us even into marriage. Oh, like sometimes, do I have to give up this desire? I've always wanted this. I've always wanted this. I got a particular cake today. I told my wife about it. I said, when I was young, I used to see this thing in the show glass. Anytime I get there, I don't always have enough to buy it. So I saw it today, I bought it. Okay, I can afford this now. Desire. no matter how long the desire has been. All right. So, and that's where the Holy Spirit helps us. All right. The Holy Spirit helps us to downplay the importance and attachment we've given to some desires. Like it's not that serious. It's not that deep. All right.
So I hope that answers your question. So it's not wrong, it's not right. It's just that
no, it's just
being led.
I don't like the way that
He's being led by the flesh.
I don't know. I get what he's trying to say, but like again, just like you said, the context in which he is put, there's no way like you want something or you meet someone for the first time that you don't know something about the person. But yeah, I do understand that even when it comes to love, it's a test of time. Yeah, because when you get into marriages, like you love something about this person, even when you really don't have something, okay, good outweighs the bad. But you get into the marriage, then you start seeing different things coming out. You're like, oh, this is not what I actually came for. But eventually, and that's when, like, this whole thing that you're talking about, when you're in marriage, and love, then that is when you now build the love for the person. That yes, I didn't see this coming, but is this something that I can work with? Just like Abby also said, and you try to love the person, and make that relationship or make that marriage work.
Yeah, now loving intentionally, not just a feeling like, okay, this is how I feel like. You now have to activate love yourself and be in one in control. Yeah. Before it was love that was controlling you, but now you're the one controlling you. Say, okay, I want you now, and that's what I always say. Where there is no love, much more love is needed. So when you see and notice that, okay, there is no love here, do you understand that much more love is needed in that place?
So I was just going to say, since this is like a marriage counseling thing, we'll actually be good, but I know not everyone's partner is also here. It would be good to go around each couple just to have one question that they have. So it's not just based around what we discussed here. It would be like a well-rounded thing.
Yeah. Okay, so what we did is, like I said, we're still going to have another session, like I said, so that we will have more people come around. So what we planned to do today was to just have us just like a conversation starter for us to just open up and talk. And so that's why I like the fact that the questions that have been coming so far, that people have been raising, when you have more questions, we are still very open to still answering. I think we have a question. No. So I think we still have about 20 minutes. Am I right? We still have 20 minutes, right? So we just have 20 minutes now, just to round up. And we also have a couple of people online. I think I recognize Dio. So a couple of people are online as well. Okay, so let's just have this up. Do we have keys that are needed to build a marriage?
Keys.
Do we have any tenets that we need to follow to build our marriage?
That man just spoke hello.
Yeah, no. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
But love is definitely the foundation.
Yeah. Love is nobody. Just like my wife and myself and my wife always say, like, sometimes, we all love at the level of our understanding. So sometimes it's not love's fault, it's how much we know. So sometimes when we think that love can fix it, that's what you know. It's at the level of the knowledge you are speaking. But if you concentrate and you take your time to understand what love is, the power of love, then you will realize that, okay, yeah, love can fix this. I mean, it's until we see love at demonstration. I always tell people that love is beyond humans. It's beyond us. It's not humanly. It's divine. Do you understand? So we are trying to accommodate it. We are trying to, how is it? It's beyond us. It is huge. It is big.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to ask a question. Okay, like requesting that the buttress, so those nuggets, that's, which one will I use now? That spouse love within couple, like, love as it were. Certain things in your home, of course, as married people, there are certain things that a man or a woman would do, that will cause resentment. You understand?
Yeah.
And probably will now degenerate into, some stuff that are, very unpleasant in the home. So can you please buttress these very vital things that spouse it, that, make it really enjoyable as it were? Because I think, yeah.
That makes it enjoyable. Okay, so I stopped at love, all right? And I said something at the beginning that that sometimes you need to remind yourself of this thing. You need to say it to yourself all the time. I made an analogy today on my story. I said, for instance, I don't like sausages. My wife does. Right? She might offer me something. I say, I don't want. I'm taking that liberty, right? But do you know how I can start eating sausages? If I start telling myself, I love sausages, I love sausages, I love sausages, I love sausages, do you know that I will start eating sausages? So it's the same thing that happens. Yes, if you start telling yourself over time, if you start, you see this mind, that's what I said, this mind is very flexible. I put it out there, I said, this mind is very flexible. If you keep telling yourself that, so sometimes saying I love you to your partner, it's not just for your partner, sometimes it's for yourself. You need it. Okay? You need it. You see, when you say it and you feel it, it helps your emotion. So she does something and you're angry or something, and you tell yourself that it will help you, but I love this woman. And you mean it. There's a meaning to it. Do you understand now? So it will change how you will respond. And the moment how you respond to something changes. That's why the Bible says a gentle answer turns away wrath. So it's impossible that, okay, after saying that, you will still be at that hyper level where you were before. The way you would have been, it will change something about you. So you need to say a lot of things. That's why we cannot do this without faith. You just have to believe it. And you say, oh yes, I love this person. I'm committed to this person. Sometimes, okay, for instance, I talk to men, I say, look here. Sometimes some men try to make it look like, okay, I'm doing a woman a favor by doing this, by being responsible, you're doing a man. You're not doing anything. I said, you're just giving yourself an opportunity in your lifetime to be that person who can be committed, like, because you have just only one life to live. It's okay. So at the end of this life, what's going to be said about you? How are you going to say you live this life? Do you understand? You want to die hero. You want to die like a strong person. You want to die a man. Man, be the one who is in love, who did love well, who did loyalty well, who did, just hold it and say, yes, I did this. And you're going to your grave and you're like, yes, is it love? I did it. Yeah. You don't get it. I mean, you may get me wrong on other things. I may not have $1 billion in my account, but you see that thing called marriage. I did it. I left the record. Simple.
Are you talking in response to what I said from you?
Yes.
I'm not satisfied yet. You know that guy is like taking crap, taking bullshit, and the woman is not ungrateful. I mean, to me, seriously, I'm not an alpha male, but it's almost even God said we should be grateful. All right. Do you understand? So let
me help you with that. Let me help you with that. We've not mentioned something here very well. We've not mentioned it, and that's communication. When we talk about communication, there's specification in it, there's negotiation in it. There are so many things when it comes to communication. All right. Someone will communicate a feeling to you. How
how do they get people to stand up and tie bomb around themselves and go and explain? It's the way they communicated it. You will communicate your feelings, and the person can feel it, literally feel it. I'm saying you're grateful. I will communicate it to you. You'll be overwhelmed. Like, this is how you're making me feel. It is communication. You communicate. That's what I'm saying about your emotions. You yourself, you must be able to absorb it at first and say, okay, yes, this is what I'm about to do. But if you're like this, I just want you to just understand. I just want you to be grateful. You just want it to be done by default. No, it's not going to work. This is marriage. It doesn't run by default. So you don't have this skill yourself. You don't have a negotiation skill. You don't have a persuasion skill. And you now want somebody, you're not blaming someone for not being grateful. You are both in the same ship. You're both in the same ship. So you lack something, the other person to lack something. So you are just equal.
And also, can I just quickly say something very quickly? One thing I've learned about marriage is that don't expect to come from you. Just do it because you want to. Because we all love So that's the thing. But I think what the grateful they're coming from is very different from the perspective you're coming from. The basic things about marriage, about being a good person, is what they are saying. Which is like you're doing it for yourself, you're not really doing it for your partner. But when it now gets to the stage where you are going beyond the basic things and you're doing certain things that you feel like, look, I've just laid down my life for you. If you're not grateful for that, then that's another type of gratefulness that you're talking about.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Okay, so let's look at it this way. You know, they talk about love languages, right? It's kind of like laying your life down. Every time you push past yourself, you find that in marriage, it can actually rip your soul apart. Even the small things, you know, I just made dinner, or you've just gone out to work and nobody is really, people are just moving past you as if it's not. Those small things, they touch you because only you know the extent to which it meant to you. So if I made a fantastic dinner for my husband, and which is what a lot of people do, you cook a nice meal, like you thought about it, that you had a great feeling, like, I love my husband, let me make his favorite dish. You made them food, then you put it on the table, then you drag a chair, then the man starts eating, and he's eating, the food is sweet, but he's not saying anything. And then you're like, so what happens is that because you had an expectation that, this is his favorite food, as he's eating it, he's telling you that, fantastic dish, baby, you outdid yourself. Automatically, you start to feel bad, which then puts you in a position where you feel like you've been attacked. When you feel like you've been attacked, you have to defend yourself. So you're already in judgmental zone. What happens is that your energy, just your very breath, will be communicating to the man that he has missed something. Now, which then seems like an attack to him. Then he now has to defend himself to say, what did I do? Then he is ignoring you as if he cannot see you. Then that will come back to you and you're like, oh my God. Then the cycle keeps going on and on. At the end of the day, you have to talk. The moment the idea dropped in your heart to cook a great meal, you must draft the person in and bring them into your consciousness. Hey, babe, I'm thinking about you right now and I want to do something nice for you. That is the skillful part that people don't know. When you say, I want to do something nice for you, automatically it's like, really? Oh, how sweet. Yeah, okay. Now you sabi or whatever. When he comes home, there's a story. It's kind of like how in brand communication now. If you don't tell your story, you will not know to the degree it can help you. So as a married person, you must learn to tell your story. Don't just assume that people are ungrateful. They probably are not even seeing it that much of a big deal. Maybe because they will do more for you. Do you see? So if you say, nice meal, when you now bring the food, you're like, you know what, this food, taste it. There's anticipation, there's awareness, everything will now come together. When he takes the first, it's like, in fact, from the door, it's like, where is that food? Let me go and bath for you. There's all of that in the air. But some people see that and they think it's automatic. Not to say it can't happen automatic, that you cook a random meal. Your partner will even eat and they'll be like, what? Wonderful meal. You didn't put any extra effort to it. And you're like, really? See the other side. So that thing that they are ungrateful for, how have you told it? What have you done? So even if it's for something you are laying your life down to say, you know what, this person is giving me bullshit and I'm trying to accommodate them and be understanding. The first thing is, who asked you to be a scapegoat? Who asked you to take that nonsense? You have to ask yourself, when you decide to take it, when you decided to take it, what did you understand? What came into your consciousness that allowed you to take it? That's where to start from. Once you realize that you are taking it because you understand, just like trauma. What happened in the car that he said about the goats. I know where it's coming from. I know that he's been in that situation before. So immediately he said, oh, somebody, they're robbing somebody. What can we do? I'm like, pack. We will have to call other people because I know my husband. He can jump down out the car and be going all by himself. So every word that I spoke there was from understanding his personality and his trauma. So I said, let's pack. We have to call other people. Before he jumped down now. He has jumped down before and pursued thief. God forbid, anything can happen. So I said, let's pack, let's call people. Then I said, we also have to be sure what's happening. It was after that time, and I said, let's turn back. All of those words coming out of my mouth, in that instant, they seem normal. In my head, they are very calculated. Let's turn back. Let's not do it from here. Let's go and turn our car back. It was in turning our car back that these people already brought out their goat. And it's like, wait, it's goat. It's goat. Then I now said the real thing that I wanted to say to him from the beginning, that, you know what? This trauma is your body. How are you telling the story? So when you've now accepted that person, from what point are you accepted? Do you understand their pain? Let's even imagine that you are married somebody who trivializes issue. Maybe they've been in a family where nobody has helped them. Nobody has considered them to be special enough to lay their life down for. So nothing is special to them. If you are doing it for yourself. If you are dealing with somebody that is coming from that angle, the best thing to do for them is to find moments when they do something fantastic for you. Then you magnify it. Then they receive the feeling of being seen. Then they will start to understand you when you say, I don't feel seen. Do you see the difference? So there are different aspects to it that you need to understand before you can then conclude that somebody is ungrateful. Do you see?
And that's the problem with labeling. Just like if the man asked questions, he said on my page, and he just dumped it there, and like, how do you deal with a troublesome woman? I said, first of all, that's labeling. Do you understand now? It changes the dimension immediately. You've labeled that person troublesome. All right, that could be someone who actually loves you, who needs your attention, or somebody who's trying to protect you. Somebody who, by the time we investigate what you have coined or tagged troublesome, you may realize that this person was actually for you, or this might be your favorite person on earth that you already call. Do you understand that you can use? So that's why we must be careful. You must be able to, and that's another thing. Separate the person from the issue. Always try to do that. Separate the person from the issue. Oh, I'm getting a lot of trouble, darling. This is giving me trouble. I'm not talking about you. Okay, like for instance, I communicated something to my boss. She didn't even wait till I finished. I said, I'm disappointed. She didn't even let me finish. I was going to say, in this situation. She thought I was going to say I was disappointed in her, in you. I was going to point, because what I want the attention to be is in the situation. I was going to say I'm disappointed in the situation. Do you understand that? So that she doesn't feel attacked. All right. You made a judgment based on the situation. I'm saying, I'm disappointed in this situation. All right. So basically, there's an expectation that I have that she's supposed to, as a leader, recognize some things. But I'm not going to say that to her, okay? Because I want us to look at the situation again so we can separate things, all right? And we need to understand things. And that's why I said we have to be calm. We have to take things easy. It may not come today. It will definitely come one day. All right. I understand that feeling when you are waiting, even when you have a child as a father, the day your child will call you, we say, Papa, that. It's a day you will never forget. So we all always have that anticipation that one day someone we're in love with will get to see something one day. All right. It's always there. The same thing will happen even with your child. Your children may be doing something. You may not see it. You may look at what's this crap you're doing here. You may call it crap. It's something, it's an offense to this child. And this child is waiting for you to come and see what I've done. I'm trying to create something. And you're looking like, you're messing this place up. All right. You see it as nothing. All right. But that child is waiting. Maybe one day, this man will see how talented I am. This man will validate me. This man will praise me. Maybe one day. Maybe. So that's why I said we have to be very, very careful when we expect something with our desires, with our goals, our aim. Don't let's run each other over. It is very, very important. Don't run each other over. You want something from your spouse, you want something from your partner, be careful, be patient. Be patient. Be patient. You just have to be patient. There is no marriage that's ever thrived without patience. It is by patience. Even the men of old that lay hold of the promises, it is through what? Thank you.
No, I think no. Let's. Sorry, sir. So you were saying that
Engineer. Is it well constructed?
No, you've done justice to it. But I tried. Okay, you were saying something about, it was an instance you're trying to, cite. Like, for example, the wife probably just prepare very sumptuously, waiting for the husband to call and actually expecting compliments. While the husband is eating or after he has eaten, and eventually she didn't get that. On the other hand, because if the woman actually prepared a meal, she feels like, oh, this meal is wonderful, and the husband does not feel it. And the husband does not feel it. Then they're like, well, I appreciate you for living there. I really don't. Listen, for me, personally, if my wife prepares some stuff that are wonderful, you understand? Why I just started to eat, she will know. My gesture, will make like, man, this man don't do this. But still, if I do not like it, I will tell her. Mother is like, this one, so it's like this. You understand? She may not be happy about it. You understand? But the truth is, I felt like I expressed myself.
Sorry, earlier on in my marriage, so my husband is somebody that when you cook with too much seasoning, in your mind you feel that food is perfect. Once you taste it, it will tell you, oh, it's too sweet. You can cook with just salt, or not, don't even put salt, just cook something simple. My husband would be so excited about it. So early on in marriage, I used to get so offended that after all the effort, there's shrimps, there's this, and he's not appreciating it. He will just eat one spoon and he will leave it. And he will go for the simple things like Indomie. But I later get to understand that is his passion. That is what he likes. So I've been able to learn to adjust the cooking. So like me, I like pepper. He doesn't like pepper. My kids doesn't like pepper. So it's just something. It's like you said, communication.
Yeah.
Over time, I get to understand that. That is how he is. Simple food. That's what he likes. So we have a balance in my home. There's certain food we make. We know he's not going to eat it, and we are okay with that. And certain times when I make food and he sees it, it's like, that's not what I feel like eating. This is what I want to eat. I don't get offended anymore because I know it's coming from, he's not saying it to spite me. It's just being himself. And in a marriage, you want your partner to always be himself or herself around you.
Let me tell you something. Sorry, engineer.
Serve you and in the middle of the food you're saying, oh, this food is not tasting nice. You eat it, but they food don't like it. It's fantastic.
Yeah. You see, engineer, you must be someone who recognizes effort over results. Effort. You will communicate and highlight that you've gone all the way to do this for me. Wow. So I'm so special to you. Because it is not about the food. It's about the effort, the thoughts that produce. So that food is just a symbol, a representation of that thought. So it's not, even if you like the food, don't eat like someone who's been starved for days. This food is sweet. You did this for me. No, it's not about the food. You must get it. It's not the food. So do you understand that? So it is the effort you need. Even if you enjoy the food, after you finish, you put the plate aside and say, woman, even if it's up to half of my kingdom, I'll give it to you. Do you understand? You get.
So food sweet, oh, food no sweet. That is not the point. All right.
That's why communication is very key.
Yeah. This, my wife cooked porridge for me once. I used to cook it in one time, so I cooked that to eat this. And then I noticed that the oil, normally if you cook porridge, somehow you don't see the palm oil. It's just this thing inside, but you know the palm oil. I saw the palm oil once, oh, this is food. Anyway, we eat it. So I ate it. Like, you like, oh, it was nice. But really, I just noticed the palm oil. Maybe you put a bit too much. Then, okay, maybe I didn't let it cook for longer. Yeah, but it was nice. So it was porridge, but you know how to I didn't just speak to me.
And you know the reason why emotionally, sorry, sir, the reason why emotional, so that it doesn't feel like you, because I understand you when you said, but when it's nice, I said that, you know, and you accepted it. Why? How can I not tell you when it's not nice? The reason why we do that is not so that, oh, we're just like buttering them up, we are working on eggshells, because this thing can go both ways. You see, you want to talk to your husband and you're like, oh, we know how it feels like. The reason we do that is because you know that negative self, nobody likes to feel as if they've not done anything right. So even when you praise them and they accept it, it will still affect how you deliver the negatives, because it is the nature of negativity to be amplified. So when you say, this food is not nice, so for her, it may mean that even the ones that you have praised, you have lied, you have pretended, you are so, because negative all of a sudden amplifies like anything, and then she starts to overthink. So you want to make sure that you understand the reason for that emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is understanding the human condition and being empathetic towards it. So when we are saying praise the effort, it's not like it's just a rule that I praise the, you must understand why. The spirit behind the rule is that no matter how bad a thing is, right, because effort has been put in, the person will feel bad when it's bad. That's why you will now tone down on the criticism or the thing that you want to give. So not just that you just go home when the food is not nice and you are dying inside. At the end of the day, inside is very good. But what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, when you are constructing that feedback inside you, it starts from you. Sometimes the reason why you think you need to feedback is because you have assumed a position. Do you see? So if we don't understand the why behind the rules, there will be shackles around your leg. You will still not be able to do it. You have assumed that you have seen porridge, you have seen oil beside it. You know how it should be. You have already assumed a position. That person that cooked the porridge, what if that's the way her mother cooked it all this while? What if as she's eating the porridge, she'd not even mind that the oil is there? So when you just come and say, this oil, the person your wife was even humble enough to say, oh, maybe I didn't cook it well. Somebody will say, but it's okay now. That's why I always make it. And that's where problem. So when I say understanding the human condition, knowing that because effort has been put in, automatically it qualifies that thing to be okay. And because whether that person is on their own, they may have eaten it like that, tells you that your criticism may not be needed. Why you now want to say what you want, which is what I always advise that you do at that point. Because criticism is one of the things that put marriage on the way to divorce. Is one of the predictors. When you criticize, what you can do is tell what you need. So if you love porridge to be without the oil, you can say, oh, babe, I love the porridge, but when I eat porridge, I love that, there's no oil around it, and you don't even have to say it on the day you are eating the porridge. Another day you can say, babe, I want porridge today, but and just can we put the oil or not even put oil at all? Immediately she may understand what you're saying, because she too, we always, I said that thing about pride. We always assume that when people make mistake, they don't know. They've already beaten themselves down. They are just hoping that you will not do it too. So imagine the food that's there's salt. You don't think the person knows. So they are hoping that just manage, because tomorrow I won't do that again. I will correct myself. That's why love and acceptance is the root of it. So when as you are eating that food, you're eating it in love, knowing that the person already knows there's salt there. You will be surprised if we commit ourselves to doing this. The person can tell you, babe, the salt is much, Abby. Then you'll be like, don't worry about it. I know it was a mistake. See, that's much more effective than that salt is. You're assuming the person doesn't know. They know, and they're praying in their heart that if it can as much as not, which is not necessarily the ideal, it's still their ego. Do you see? That doesn't want to be put down. Do you see? But at the end of the day, two ego clashing. That's why if you can at least manage yourself not to correct, you will find that the people, that's why God says don't judge, because he has a built-in mechanism that allows people to self-correct, self-regulate. When you judge them, you are assuming that you don't know where they are going. Your goal is not that they are changed.
You know, engineer's problem. It's what we call, I can't wait to get it off my chest. That's the problem. You know, and when something is making you feel uncomfortable, that's how I always tell people. If you can't wait to get something off your chest, it's making you feel uncomfortable. When you now dump it on someone else, how do you think the person will feel? So when you have any matter that is making you that I can't wait to get this off my chest, know that you're about to pass a venom on another person. Just know that. So sometimes you may be in a place and they are saying something and you want to interrupt. Like, I can't wait to get it off my chest. What will happen if you don't get? Will you die? So do you understand what I'm saying now? It's not like we are saying be silent. That's what emotional intelligence is about. This thing is making me feel this way. But the time I put it on someone else, you understand what I'm saying? So it is, I can't wait to get it off my chest. When you have a matter like that, this thing is not sweet. I need to tell you, nah. You know that you want to create trouble, nah. You want what you want to drop. So you need to do your own growing, all right, and understand that this is making it. How would I say so that I can communicate the message and quote it in such a way that it will be understood and this person will take a positive action towards it. Right? Just about it. All right. So that's exactly what emotional intelligence is about. By the time you start thinking about how to communicate the matter, then you would have the emotion would have doused down. Like, okay, yeah, you know.
Well, thank you so much, guys. Sorry, she has to leave by 7 now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'm sure we'll have a continuing conversation as time goes by. But I just want us to just, as we shut down Zoom now, just pray for our people that came. No, 3 minutes. Oh, 3 minutes. Okay, please.
Thank you. Your friend talk.
So can you shut down? Thank you, sir. Engineer.